much, sir. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. And Shalini and Mansi, I just have to say your stories are just mind blowing, and it just shows the strength that we have inside if we actually utilize it, the kind of hurdles that we can cross. So, thank you so much for sharing your stories. It's pretty amazing. So my story basically begins. I was born in Bombay. I was raised in America, and when I was 14 years old, I had come to India for a vacation during the monsoon season in 2006. After coming back to the US, I started getting symptoms of malaria. The doctors could not diagnose it. All of the testing was normal. Suddenly, the fever of I'm assuming which is malaria, it crossed over 102, 103 degrees Fahrenheit, and it basically affected my brain. Because of that, I started having hallucinations. I could not recognize my family anymore. I could not recognize my mother, and I was admitted into the hospital where they did an MRI, and they thought that they saw something in the back of my neck in the cervical region. So they did a spinal tap, which is where they insert a needle into the spinal cord to take out CSF to test for neurological ailments. Everything was normal except for the fact that I was declared dead for 7 minutes at that point of time. My blood pressure skyrocketed to over 200. I vomited. Half of it went into my lungs, half of it came out, causing respiratory arrest and cardiac arrest. So I was declared dead for 7 minutes. I was laying on the testing table. They were using those shock machines to revitalize my heart. Finally, after the third try, they got my heartbeat back, but they couldn't get my breathing back. I was transferred into the ICU, and the next day they did another lumbar puncture, after which I went into a coma for 23 days. During the coma, I was declared dead two more times, which makes it three times in total. And the 21st of September, the doctors had a meeting with my mother saying that Virali, there's no improvement in Virali, and we want to pull the plug of the ventilator. Basically, they wanted to kill me. My mom begged them, saying that Virali's 15th birthday is on the 29th of September, and we want to celebrate it. So you have to get his permission. They got the permission, but uh, only on one issue. They said that if Virali does not improve on the 29th of September, then the 30th at midnight, we will pull the plug of the ventilator. And my mother agreed to it, saying that fine, like you can do that. This is my last wish. They celebrated my birthday. We decorated my whole ICU room. My family came, 75 people. And I was born at 3 or 5 p.m. on the 29th of September. And the same time that I was born, my dad took my hand, started singing happy birthday, and we cut the cake. And as soon as I cut the cake, I opened my eyes and I am just staring at the ceiling. Everyone started screaming, and the doctors came in, they did a checkup, and they were like, yeah, she will survive. She will survive. I went back into a coma, and then on the 5th of October, I came out of it. I had a tracheotomy done, so you can see I have a scar here. So they put a breathing tube through my neck for me to breathe. Now, when I came out of my coma, I didn't know that I was paralyzed from the neck down. The doctors thought that there may be something mentally wrong with me, but everything was fine except my arms could not move. I could only move my neck, yes or no. That's about it. When I found out when I saw myself sitting on a wheelchair and I was slumped over. I was like a vegetable. There was no movement, there was no sensation, there was no nothing in my body. It was just like a dead body that's just breathing. That's kind of what it was like. Unfortunately, I did not have a good support system. My mom and dad were always supportive. My family, my friends, they all kind of measured me down to be a burden, and which they said to my face, saying that I'm a burden and that no one will want to hang out with me. And because of that, despite always being a positive person and always accepting situations as they come, I went into depression and I tried committing suicide twice. And my mother when I survived, my mother was like, you have to learn to love yourself. You cannot expect other people to love you if you cannot love yourself. And the day that you love yourself, you won't need anyone else in your life. You won't need anybody. I took it with a grain of salt because I was, after all, a teenager. Mom ki baat kaun sunta hai? So I took it with a grain of salt and I didn't listen to her. But then in 2008, I shifted to India with my mom while my dad stayed in America. And that is when I first experienced true inaccessibility in Bombay. I had to travel to Delhi via train, and I was molested by the porters because there are no accessible lifts or ramps to get inside the compartment of the train. So, two uncles, the age of my father, they had come and one of them lifted me up from my shoulders and the other from my knees. And as soon as we got into the compartment, there was a pin drop silence. Everyone was staring. No one wanted to even help out. The guy that was holding me from my shoulders, he wrapped his arms around my chest and he started touching me inappropriately. And everyone saw, no one said anything, and I was ashamed. I thought that I cannot say anything because if I do, what if they drop me? Or what if they leave me? Like, who will help me? So I didn't say anything. And they escorted me to my berth, and I looked that man in the eye and I said, "Thank you. Thank you for helping me." And that happened three times in 2008, 2011, 2013, all in Bombay. And I never said anything because I was scared that I would be slut shamed. I was scared that if I go to the police or someone, they will say, "Why did you need to go via train? Why couldn't you just go via plane, or why couldn't you go via car?" I didn't want it to be my fault. So I never said anything. And then in 2014, I had always wanted to be an actress or a model. And so I had the chance of participating in Miss Wheelchair India, where I won second place in 2014 for that. And that's when I started my writing as well. So I started writing on Quora about disability, life, love, relationships, and kind of just how to cope with negative situations in general. And currently, I have over 150,000 followers on Quora. I've been named the top writer for 5 consecutive years in a row. And from that, when the Disability Rights Bill launched in late 2016, in early 2017, I started my campaign called hashtag #MyTrain2, which is for accessible Indian railways. Now, that petition has over 5 lakh signatures as of now. And a railway official from Kerala and we have made 8 stations all across India totally wheelchair accessible without any renovations, just by implementing portable ramps, small aisle size wheelchairs, and sensitizing the railway staff, all of the railway staff. So we have Hyderabad, Orissa, we have 5 stations in Kerala, Bombay Central, and Chennai as of now. And we're currently working through a CSR initiative, working on making Churchgate Station accessible. And because of that, because of those efforts, I won the Women's Achievement Award by Delhi Commission of Women. And like Sir, you mentioned, BBC 100 Women. Um, Consecutively, I've won over 20 or so awards for my activism and for my motivational speaking. And like I always said, I wanted to be a model. I had the wonderful opportunity to model with Salman Khan for the Being Human campaign in 2018. And in 2019, I went on to being the showstopper for 4 fashion shows, which is Bombay Times Fashion Week, also FBB. Um, so that's been pretty amazing. And currently, actually, recently last year, this is a bit of unfortunate news, but I lost my mother to cancer last year. She was a fighter, and I know that the person that I am is definitely because of her perseverance, her determination, and all of the strength that she's given me. And I know that ever since a young age, my mother had always taught me that she's always taught me about karma and how, if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. And that always stuck to me. And so I've always been that person where if I see injustice anywhere, I will be the first person to speak up about it or to try and create a change about it. So recently, during the lockdown period, I live alone in Bombay. My dad is still in America. I don't have any siblings. So since I live alone, I have a caretaker that comes for 2 hours during the day to cook and clean my house for me. Now, because of the lockdown, she wasn't able to come. So I reached out to the police and politicians, and the DCP of Bombay called me. I got a call from the Home Minister's office to help me out with the situation. And since I had gotten so much support, I decided that there must be so many people with disabilities and the elderly who are living alone, who do not have help, and who are not independent enough to take care of their well-being. So I've started a petition called hashtag disability on lockdown, where we're working with the central government in terms of getting um, government issued IDs for caretakers, so they can go to the individuals' homes and take care of them while traveling back, but obviously taking the full precaution that they need to not spread the virus. So for me, my journey has always been about the ups and downs in life and how not to get caught up in a situation where you are just feeling at your lowest, which again was my mother passing away. Like, I had gone through depression, I was diagnosed with depression, I was diagnosed with anxiety, I was supposed to be put on medicine for that antidepressants, and I was like, no, if I can do this by myself, and if I need it, then I have the help of pharmaceuticals, but I want to do this on my own. And slowly but surely, through meditation, through a lot of self love, a lot of self care, thankfully I'm out of it. And it just goes to remind me that no matter how dark a situation, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And that is kind of how I perceive this whole coronavirus and this lockdown situation. I feel like, yeah, it's a horrible situation, and it's horrid that so many people are dying and getting infected. But I try to look at the silver lining, which is I now started my own YouTube channel, which I'm getting time to do finally. I am doing like webinars like this, which is amazing, connecting to amazing people, which I know I definitely would not have had the time to do. So for me, it's always been about finding the positive in a negative situation and channeling those negative energies into something positive to create positivity. So positivity has always played a big role in my life. And for me, my motto has always been to just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Like Dory says in Finding Nemo. So I remember this time after my coma, after I was sent home, my hands were not working properly. Like my thumb was only working this much. That's about it, slightly. I remember one time I was sitting on the floor with the support of the sofa, and I told my mom that I was hungry and I wanted to eat something. I don't know what happened to her. She went into the kitchen, she got 4 bowls, and she put my favorite biscuits in those bowls. She put my favorite biscuits, and she put all 4 bowls out in front of me in a semicircle. And I looked at her and I said, "What are you doing? Feed me, I'm hungry, like, please." So she sits on the sofa behind me and she's like, "I am not your maid. I am not your maid. If you are hungry, then you can go and feed yourself. I am also a human being. I get tired." And I just looked at her and I had tears in my eyes. I said, "Mom, how do I?" She said, "I don't know. Does not matter to me. If you're hungry, then you can feed yourself. I'm not gonna help you." She sat on the sofa behind me and I had tears in my eyes, and I was like, what type of a mother is she? How can she say this to me? I was appalled. But then I was like, nay, I am also Virali. I also have this pride about myself that, okay, she has challenged me. I am going to do it and I'm going to figure out a way how to do it. It took me 40 minutes, not kidding, it took me 40 minutes. Kaise bhi karke, I pushed my body weight onto my legs. With my weak hands, I grabbed one biscuit ekdam shakily and I fed myself. And that moment of satisfaction, I have not gotten that satisfaction yet in life, except for that moment. At that moment, I was like, if I can do this, then I can do anything that I put my mind to. And if I am actually determined about doing this, then I will definitely accomplish it. So that was definitely one of the most monumental points of my life where I was like, I can do this. And like Shalini said, it's all from here. It is all from your mind. It is all from your mind. And I just want to share one more moment. I remember back in 2016 or 17, 2016, 17, one of my friends is a scuba instructor. He's a scuba diving instructor. And I was going to go scuba diving for the first time in my life. We were going to learn in the pool. And I remember I was in the car and my mother asks me, she was like, Virali, all of these people are walking and you're not able to walk. Don't you feel sad about that? तुझे कहीं से दुख नहीं होता? Don't you feel left out? I said, Mom, there is a huge difference between me and them. She said, What is the difference? I said, They are going to work and they are going to school. I am going scuba diving. Who's more fortunate? I am definitely more fortunate. So, no, I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel that jealousy. I don't feel that, oh, I wish I had my legs or I wish I could walk. Because even in a seemingly negative situation, I am still living my best life. I am still living my life according to the way that I want to. And so I think that's really important when you have that determination and that perseverance, and you want to achieve something. If you put your mind to it, you can actually achieve it. And they always say that the only disability in the world is a negative attitude, is a bad attitude. That is the only disability. Me not being able to walk or any other kind of physical ailment, that is not a disability. That is just something that I am currently lacking. I'm not able to do. Everyone also has a disability. Everyone is also lacking something. So then why can we not just normalize the term disability? In my point of view, why can we not just make it a positive thing instead of a negative thing? So yeah.